Shalom. Koholo Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Bahashem, Rahahakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect scattered throughout the four corners of the globe. My name is Barada Ball, coming to you from the GMS campus, Indianapolis. And to all those listening and learning, to you, I say Shalom. Especially to so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians that make up the 12 tribes of Israel. Today, I just had a few thoughts, like brothers would say, to strike while the iron is hot. And the thought of the matter is, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. And I was listening to, as you can see in the front, or as you can see, the Apostle Ramlab, GMS Info Doc, Channel 12. Subscribe and be edified. But it says the last days of E's rulership. And it was a statement that he made that sparked some scriptures that I have in mind. So I'm going to play it, and then I'm going to go into the few scriptures I have. Again, hopefully that it's edifying, uplifting, exhorting of some sort to the elect body of true believers. But as we get closer and closer towards the end, for those who are in this faith, will know that, Lord willing, will be of that number. They'll actually receive the righteous kingdom. So here we go.
Essentially,
Right.
all right. That's Esau Edom's that's the role that he's playing down here on the earth. He was created for the day. He was created for the missiles.
That's it.
The missiles. When the Most High created Esau, the Lord created. He had the missiles in mind as well. He said, "Yeah, this is how I'm gonna get them,
Yeah.
and then I'm gonna use my people to finish them off."
Yep.
Okay.
That's heavy because he gave him the blessing as Isaac, and he's going to take away the blessing as Yahushai. And that same blessing that they got was set up for their destruction, for their demise. So the Lord got him. That's why Asaph in the book of Psalm 73 said that the Lord set them in slippery places, because
So as you can hear, the apostle he mentioned, he says the Lord gave it to him as Isaac, and if you could receive it, Isaac and Yahweh Shai, in the reincarnation, he says, and he's going to take it away from him as Yahweh Shai. And so this just sparked, a thought, because, everything is in the power of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. And so everything that happens upon the earth, especially to the kings, the rulers, the true rulers of the earth, which is the elect, starting with the 144,000 that the Lord has created and set since the foundation of the earth. Everything that happens is orchestrated by Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. From the thoughts to our plans, as it tells the scriptures that even when we go to sleep, he's putting in the instructions in our mind. And so even as I speak today, to listen to the apostle, to be in the spirit, to come up with scriptures, these were all from Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. And so, again, the Lord directed our path. Let me get that really quick, and then we'll get right into these other scriptures. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 16, verse 9. It says, "A man's heart deviseth his way, but the Lord directeth his steps." So we may, we may think we know what we're going to have plans to do, but this is why we say, if the Lord will, I'll do this or that, because everything is in the will of the Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Here's another. There's another. Well, we'll use this one, and then we'll get right into it because there's another one in the Proverbs that I mean the Psalms, but this is Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 and 7. It says, "Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not to thy own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge Him, and He shall direct thy paths." Okay, be not wise in thy own eyes, fear the Lord and depart from evil. Yahweh Shai even made it, in the prayer, he says, where it tells us to lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. So again, it's Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai who's directing our steps and how we should move. And so as it comes down to these kings, the kings of the earth, all the people from top to bottom, Yahweh Shai is dealing, with, he has his hand orchestrated in all of these things. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 21, verse 1. It says, "The king's heart, which is the mind," the Hebrew word is lob, which deals with the mind, "is in the hand of the Lord, and as rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will." So when we talk about the prophecies, the things that must come to pass, because his word is true, okay, and every man a liar. So we read the prophecies and then we look, and see how things are moving out in the world. And then especially with the rulers. So how Putin is moving, Trump, the top elite bankers. This is how we're able to also measure the times, because we know that the Lord is directing the path and everything is lining up with the scriptures. Okay, so we see how, again, when it comes down to the MOTB, the mark, we see how the economic systems are changing, and we know that eventually it's coming to a certain end because the Lord has already foretold this, and he's given this knowledge, these secrets, unto his servants, the prophets. And so this is the book. I'll take that one out. This is the book of, I'll go back. Daniel chapter 4, verse 7. It says, this matter is by the decree of the watchers and the demand by the word of the holy ones, that the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and setteth up over it the bases of men. And who is over us presently? The bases of men. And we are now in this rulership. We, meaning the Israelites, starting with the elect, are the bases of all the countries in which we have been scattered and taken into captivity. And so we're in, as a status of people, we're in a low place, but as a nation and as the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, we're on high. But let's continue. This is the book of it's the book of 1 Samuel chapter 2, verse 6 through 10. And it says, the Lord killeth and maketh alive. So to show you that everything is orchestrated by him. All right. Like it tells us in Isaiah, he says, I create darkness. I create peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. Roughly paraphrasing. He says, the Lord killeth and maketh alive. He bringeth down to the grave and bringeth up. The Lord maketh poor and maketh rich. And he bringeth low and lifteth up. So that's what happened to us, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, the Israelites. At one point we had a rulership, a kingdom, 40 years under Solomon, and then we were brought low. All these other kingdoms have been brought up, and we've always talked about them, talking about the Babylonians, the Syrians, the Babylonians, the Medo-Persians, the Greeks, the Romans, and then you have as in today's time, these powers, and not to fail to mention Egypt, the first Egypt. Say first Egypt because we're in spiritual Egypt, but then you have now America, this high power, this power, and again he's allowed them to become rich, and he's going to make them poor. He's lifted them up and in their pride they are even more exalted. And then he's going to bring them down. It says, verse 8, he raiseth up the poor out of the dust, and this will be the Israelites, the elect, starting with the elect. He says, and lifted up the beggar from the dunghill, to set them among princes. You see, there's going to be a kingdom of priests, right? The sons of the living God, and to be sons of the King. That gives us Yashar Allah, Prince of the Power. All right, to make them inherit the throne of glory, for the pillars of the earth are the Lord's, and he hath set the world upon them. Verse 9, he says, he will keep the feet of his saints, which are the Israelites, and the wicked shall be silent in darkness, for by strength shall no man prevail. So no one will be able to, when the Lord set forth his destruction and to turn this system, bring this system down, when he's in the process of it now, but when he continues to bring it down and he comes that much harder in his visitation, there's no one that can turn it back. Verse 10, he says, the adversaries of the Lord shall be broken to pieces. Out of heaven shall he thunder upon them. The Lord shall judge the ends of the earth, and he shall give strength unto his king, and exalt the horn of his anointed. So the horn, Yahweh Shai, is going to be exalted in that day. So the Lord alone shall be exalted in that day. This is the book of Job, chapter 1, verse 21. He says, and said, naked came I out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return. The Lord gave, and the Lord taketh away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. So everything in which we have, these kingdoms, these kings and rulers as well, has been given and taken away by Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. Last scripture, Ecclesiastes, Sirach, chapter 10, verse 4, says, the power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord, Yahweh Shai. And he says, and in due time he will set over it one that is profitable. So eventually, the earth is going to be under new rulership, and it's going to be forever, even forever. And like the book of Proverbs, chapter 29, verse 2 said, when the righteous are in authority, the people will rejoice, because we already see the wicked bearing rule and the people mourning. So I hope that this lesson was edifying, uplifting, exhorting of some sort into the elect body of true believers. Before I end, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Raha HaKadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect scattered throughout the four corners of the globe. Until next time, all those listening and learning, to you, I say, Shalom.